dethrone, you say Harper, dethrone! Dethrone! When I say treaty, you say rights! Treaty! 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 When I say people, you say power! People! 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 See those fists? People! As mentioned, my Christian name is Clayton Thomas-Muller. I'm the Tar Sands campaign co-director with the North American Indigenous Environmental Network. I'm a member of Ottawa Cree Nation, Treaty 6 territory. Heck yeah. I just first and foremost want to give an acknowledgement to Chief White Dog and to the Algonquin people in this beautiful territory, this unceded Algonquin territory that we have the privilege to gather in today. So thank you to the Algonquin people. You know, as a young guy, growing up here in this country they call Canada, you know, I went through a lot of the things that a lot of you went through. I grew up in the city of Winnipeg. And I often ask myself, how come my greatest memories of richness and wealth were with my grandparents in our trap line? Anytime we got hungry, we could eat. Anytime we wanted to sleep, we could sleep. Anytime I wanted bannock, I'd just go by the fire, and there it was. You know, and then all of a sudden, we ended up in Winnipeg because my mom took me there looking for a better life.
Okay, good.
And I wondered why our people, why our young people in particular, were having such a hard time in the gangs, in the violence, and all the socioeconomic issues that come living in the city as a Native person. And I found the Native Youth Movement. And under the vision of a young woman named Edie O'Meara, the youth of that day in the 90s, they decided to carry a sacred flame to all three oceans of Canada. And there were elders that helped those young people, that inspired a generation of First Nations youth, Indigenous youth in general, Métis and Inuit as well, to take action, political action. And I'd like to recognize one of those elders right now who used to run sweats for us. His name is Canoe. He's the founder of the National Indian Brotherhood, of the Grand Council of Treaty 3, and also once choked out Jean Chrétien for that racist white paper. And I just want to give a shout out to Canoe, Peter Kelly from Winigaming First Nation today, because he's with his family and having a bit of a hard time, so prayers to him. One of the work that he did, though, was putting pressure on this government for the residential school apology. And Harper did say sorry for residential schools. Yeah, you all remember that soundbite, right? Well, Harper's not the first white man to try and placate Indigenous peoples with pretty or well-meaning words, while also trying to steal our land and resources, destroying our cultures and traditional food systems. From the tar sands in Alberta, to mining in northern Ontario, to deforestation in Quebec, this colonial government has continually trampled our rights as it pursues a capitalist, free market economic agenda that continues to move Canada into a resource colony position of the United States Empire and the emerging Chinese Empire. Shame! Shame! And what's this all leading to, folks? Well, it's leading to the privatization of Canada's rich natural resources with a global economic framework that doesn't care about environmental protection, nor the rights of our people, nor the rights of any people or our sacred Mother Earth. Shame! Shame! But we're all here to tell Harper something. IdleNoMore will not let this happen. IdleNoMore! I don't know about all of you, but where I come from, our land, our resources, our way of life are not for sale. Out in DC, an amazing grassroots of Alliance of First Nations, environmentalists, and workers are stopping Harper's tar sands expansion in its tracks. In the heart of the tar sands in Alberta, First Nations nations like Alberta Athabasca Chippewa First Nation, Beaver Lake Cree Nation are taking the puppet Harper and his puppet masters, oil companies like BP and Shell, to court. And today, Mikisew Cree Nation announced that they will lead the legal challenge to Bill C-45. Here in Ontario, communities like Ottawa, whose chief, Teresa Spence, is ready to give her life for our peoples, have embarrassed Stephen Harper. And in communities in Quebec, like the Algonquins of Barriere Lake, who are here today, as we gather on unceded Algonquin land, have been the thorn in Harper's government side, refusing to be beaten down or assimilated. Even the Mayans in Guatemala are resisting Harper's policies and fighting for their lives against Canadian mining companies, HudBay and Goldcorp. The Mayan people stand with our First Nations, demanding Canada implement a new policy with our First Nations based on the standards of free, prior, and informed consent. This goes beyond consultation and reserves the right for our people to say no. Whenever First Nations challenge Canadian policies, what do? They cut funding. Stephen Harper is mad at our Native resistance, demanding to be heard. So he's taking it out on us, slashing funding to every Native advocacy group, starting with Sisters in Spirit, and now affecting almost every Native advocacy group across Canada. Shame! He is passing laws which aim to put in place the white paper agenda that we defeated back in 1969. An agenda of assimilation that is openly advocated by his mentor, that ridiculous U.S. lawyer Thomas Flanagan.
Oh yeah, and don't forget Brazo. I don't know where he is today.
The Brazo.
You killed it!
He wants to privatize our reserve lands so they end up alienated and in the hands of the greedy corporate people that are trying to take it away from our future generations. Stephen Harper may be angry, Stephen Harper may be smart, but there's one thing he doesn't understand. We're not going to give it up, ever! We survived over 250 of these colonial policies, and we're going to be here another 250 years. But we also need to understand that today, no one can win it alone. The agenda of the governments such as Canada and other industrialized countries and corporations aim to privatize nature. Under both the old business as usual and the new emerging green economic agenda, eventually every Canadian will be affected by what we're seeing happening to us today. We will need to work together, my family, for a different future based on respect, coexistence with each other, and with the other. We will work with social movements like the Quebec student movement, and the climate justice movement, and the labor movement, and especially our women's movement, the Sisters in Spirit movement. We will build power for the establishment of the biggest Native and social movement in the history of Canada. We will break down barriers, colonial barriers that divide the common people of Canada. A movement that is deeply rooted in an unbreakable foundation of anti-racism, anti-oppression, and anti-colonialism. Sacred day, this winter solstice, send our voices in solidarity to the world that Harper represents. A system of oppression against not only First Nations, Indigenous peoples, but all people and all against Mother Earth. United we will win a more beautiful world for our children and future generations. This is prophecy. You are prophecy. We will never stop. Not for be ready.